Hey, hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen from all over the world. This is Christy Matthews, and
Amanda Ashton-Booth.
great. And I'm here broadcasting from Oakley, California, in the United States. And Amanda, where are you broadcasting
I'm
from?
in Inverurie in Scotland, UK.
So, what does that mean? We're about 8 hours apart from each other. So,
Yeah, something like that, yeah. So for you just now it's 7 o'clock, isn't it?
that's right. Yeah.
And it's 7 in the morning for you, and I'm ahead of the time. I'm ahead in time of you, so it is it's just after 3 p.m. for me. So, like I said in the message that I posted earlier on today, we'll get used to the time zones, and we might get a little bit muddled up because they're the two of us, But if anybody that's watching, if you're watching only live now, can you tell us where you're watching from and what time it is for you? So what time zone you're in and what time it is for you now. That might help us out.
Yes, please, please. So, this program came about from many chats that Amanda and I have had for probably over a year now, and we got acquainted through a mutual marketing organization that we're both with. But that's not really how we got connected. We got connected because we both have fibromyalgia, and I don't know how that came about, but when we found that out, we connected right away, and our personalities are very similar, and we share a lot of things in common, and we just started chatting, and we've just talked about a whole bunch of things, and over the last several months we go, oh, we ought to do a show about this, and so we go, what are we going to call it? And so Amanda came up with the name The FibroPreneurs, and then my husband and I were talking about, how, I would come out of the sitting room in the morning and say, there's some interesting thoughts that come out of the shower and when you're sitting on the throne. So we came up with this name called The FibroPreneurs, Thoughts from the Throne. So I hope that you can all appreciate the, maybe the, what do you call it? The suddenness, just kind of some things that just come off the top of our head, things that we just wish to talk about.
I'm sure everybody will actually relate because this was what I said, remember, because that's what sparked your memory was I turn around and says, I don't know what it is, but every time I am near water, whenever I'm near water, whether it's I'm swimming, whether I'm at the beach, whether I'm in the shower, or even taking a pee, I come up with all my best thoughts. So it's whenever you're near water, and it just seems to get the mind flowing, with the flow. So it was just kind of ironic when you mentioned about the thoughts from the throne, yeah. And you will make sense of the header image, guys, as well.
Yeah.
The header image I think is brilliant. Yeah, so it kind of speaks volumes.
And isn't that true? Because I think a lot of us with fibromyalgia, we all have kind of a sense, a different type of personality, maybe one that has high expectations for ourselves. Maybe we're maybe a little bit on the perfectionist side. So when we are dealing with this condition and we get frustrated, things don't come to our brain, but that's because we're putting so much pressure on ourselves. So then we go and have a distraction like sitting on the throne or being in the shower or something like that around water. The thoughts start to pop, but then yet it may not be appropriate to have pen and paper at hand or have a recording device at hand because it just may not be the right place for it. So we've worked very hard to try to document some of our thoughts from the throne.
Fibrofog, that's very difficult with fibrofog to document. You're much better at me with the documentation part. I seem to, although I forget things in the moment, I do quite well actually, just winging it. without the documentation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's okay. You know, sometimes we can be really good at the winging it part of it, and you are very, very good at that.
Thanks.
So let me tell you a little bit about my story. You know, it's a very long story, but I'll make it very short for you. You know, I was first introduced to the concept of me having fibromyalgia after I was in a head-on accident, back in 1997. And I had known a couple of people who had said that they had it, and I just went, oh, pish posh, I don't believe in that. And so when I had these injuries that just weren't seeming to heal up as fast as the doctor thought that they should, the doctor kind of said, well, maybe you have fibromyalgia. And so my response was, well, that's BS. But then for some reason, it took about 8 months before I was able to really start moving around again. And some things that took maybe another 10 years to realize that happened 10 years previous that made me realize that that was my first introduction to fibromyalgia. And how I got out of the injuries, or actually was able to recover from the injuries from that head-on collision, was that I got into aqua therapy. And it de-weighted my body, and it took the pressure off of the body from land exercise. So fast forward to 2007. And mind you, folks, you know, from what I've learned about fibromyalgia is that it's not only physical trauma, it is mental trauma. It's usually a combination thereof. And you might have a lifetime of traumas that accumulate, but it takes one massive one, like a head-on collision. And in my case, there was a death that occurred in that accident. The lady was like right next to my head because the way the cars ended up stopping, and she died and I didn't. And there was airbag deployment, the whole bit. So fast forward 10 years, you know, life was moving on, you know, doing our thing, very active again. And our office building burns down. And I fell into a sinkhole next to the building, and I got injured again. And I activated the neck injury that occurred in 1997. And that was it. I was done. I was over. But it wasn't so much from that incident. What was happening is that I was getting bullied by my supervisor I was working with. He was breaking me down for about a year prior to that. So what was happening is that the mental fatigue was building, and then the physical trauma hit, and then I was done. And then it was that episode to where I was no longer able to do the work that I used to do. And to this day, working out on land it does not work well for me. I need to be in water, taking the weight off of my body, because I cannot handle the pounding on the ground. But exercise is very, very important. So that's my story. You know, I'm glad to say that I'm out of, you know, the mental part of all of that. You know, it was a great lesson to learn. And I'm glad to be here to share all of that with you, and hopefully with some of our experiences, both Amanda and I've had, that maybe it might help make your life a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable. So Amanda, share your story, would you?
Oh, it's a long one, but I'll try and break mine down too. Okay, so let's start from birth. I told you it was going to be a long story. No, when I was born, things were like parents kind of broke up. They were young and everything. So I was kind of pillar to post through my childhood. Never had some broken down structure. I was in care. I won't go into all the fuddy details, but I was in care. I met my mum when I was 10 for the first time, and then I was so screwed up by then. You know, I was already damaged goods. I didn't know how to connect with people or nothing. I just was really messed up in the head and everything. Really confused child. My family that I was with, they couldn't handle me. I was just too much to cope with. And then ended up going back into care again. So there was some more trauma. I went back to care, and then I signed myself out of care and stuff. I went straight from residential care straight into homeless accommodation at 16 years old. So I was surrounded by drugs and alcohol from a very young age. I was already I was already in that scene with being in care in my teens, although I didn't really get involved with the stuff as much, you know, maybe a little bit of drinking, but that was about it, and it wasn't really that bad. I was more the runaway child, was my bad trait was the runaway child. But then I was drinking, and I was taking drugs, and I was really at low point. And I went through that low point and put myself into bad situations because I had no real proper guidance. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just figuring it out myself, you know, and just doing it all wrong. Now, I was always kind of unwell. I was always going to doctors. I was on antidepressants, and I was stopping taking them because I wasn't really structured. So I wasn't taking them, and I was getting put on new ones, and then I wasn't taking them, and then I was getting put on new ones. And all through my my late teens, and then early 20s, and I put myself into a lot more serious situations, that caused more trauma to me, bad relationships, violent relationships, and on and on and on. If I would be here all week trying to go through everything, but that's just the basics, you know. I'm sure you get the gist of the story. Then I met my current partner, who I've been with since 2011. And when I met him, I stopped drinking. I just towed the line, calmed down, and then, although I always suffered from bad back pain, and although I always had something wrong with me, but I didn't quite connect anything at that point of time, I met my current partner, calmed down, and then everything just came at once. So you imagine a body stressed for a lifetime, you know, like until I hit like 27. So 27 years of a stressed out body, all crunched up, stressed out and everything, and then you get this calm environment. When I met my partner, it was calm, it was comfortable. Hi Corinda, how you doing? Nice to have you here. If you have any questions, just feel free to speak away. But yeah, oh, fibro fog. Perfect for this show. Yeah, so you imagine the body calms down, then all of a sudden, boom, your the pain comes, the thank you very much for sharing. Then you feel everything, and then I started going to doctors and getting proper tests and everything done. And boy, did I go through a lot of doctors and everything. And the same with Christy. I was doing full-time work. I was vindicated for struggling with things and work and stuff. I ended up getting sacked a couple of times, not because I wasn't doing the work, it's because they seen that I was struggling. So they didn't want me there, which was just soul destroying even more. And so at that point in time, when that first started happening, I was going through figuring out the diagnosis at that point in time. So I was already in a lot of trauma, and like stress and torture with like trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Eventually, when I got told the diagnosis, this brings us to the subject of stigma. The first thing I said to my doctor, and I mentioned this to you, Christy, on one of our chats, that it registered to me. The first thing I said to my doctor was, oh no, what's my dad going to say? I didn't think, oh, what's going to happen to me? What is it that I need to do to help myself? I says, what my dad going to think? Because I had heard years of him moaning about my relatives, his sisters, or they've got this and they've got that, and I'm complaining about it. So I automatically, that just stressed me out even more. Then I went through the journey that we all do. We're given this diagnosis. and then
we both do Corinder.
What was that?
Corinder asked if both of us are hosts.
Yeah, both of us co-hosts. But yeah, we all go through like a journey, and this I'll just carry on the thing that I wanted to speak about, the journey of figuring out what to do with yourself, you know, because a lot of people they leave the doctor's office with a leaflet or go and check out this website or something, and then you've got to figure it out, and a lot of people are too focused on the pain itself, so they find themselves searching for a cure, which has them just desperately searching, and you can get yourself in a lot of trouble that way, i.e. your bank account can be in a lot of trouble that way, because you just spend on everything that you see and you try everything. Now I wanted to hit upon a really important topic on this topic, of, you know, the best way to deal with fibromyalgia is to understand how your body works and understand what pain is, how pain comes about, before you start trying to treat it, because you need to understand it and you need to get to the root of the problem first before you can treat. Don't just go trying to treat something you know nothing about first, you know, because when you do get the diagnosis, you don't know enough about it to try and treat yourself, so you need to research about it. So we both spoke about trauma, and trauma is the root of the pain. It is the root. So when you have a car crash, or you could be raped, or you could be abused, you could be you could have a lifetime of trauma, you could lose a job, lose a loved one, or you could have all of that happen to you, you know, and then that then sends signals to the brain, because it's all everything's interlinked, and it sends, this is what I know of it so far, correct me if I get anything wrong here, Christy, it sends signals to the brain, the stress and the trauma, and it's normally the brain that is holding most of that trauma, which is signaling everything out throughout the body and causing the pain, so it's trapping the pain there. And that's why I'm so focused, and Christy as well, on mindset in treating your pain. That's like a big part of it. Did I explain that right?
You did. I'd like to add too that, you know, this is not a modern day problem. You know, going back and researching what this is, back in the 1800s, they were even calling fibromyalgia rheumatism. And as you well know, as our early settlers way back when, you know, a couple hundred years ago, and even longer than that, I mean, even in Chinese medicine, for instance, this problem has been around. So, and if you can imagine from our early settlers, their life was much harder than ours is today, both physically and mentally. And so today, when you say pee, you mean bed? Your toilet pee. Toilet pee.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, and then today, you know, because of what Amanda said, there is also, because there's a neurological component and there's a swelling component that goes on, fibromyalgia is not even the appropriate name. They've changed it to what's called ME, and it's, I can't even pronounce it. It's like myoencephalitis something or other. And I meant to look it up this morning, and I had a fibrofog moment and completely forgot to do it.
I have the laptop open.
Okay, but it is now called ME, so because there's a component with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. Both of those things run together. So luckily here in 2017, it is a real condition. It is really recognized. It is not a stigmatized type of thing. And when you go in and see the doctor, they will stop saying, now, gee, you look good, you look good. Because that's the one thing that you used to hear so much is that, well, you look good, you don't look sick. Well, that's what this whole condition is about. You feel like crap, and you don't know why, and you don't want to be a whiner and complain about things, but it really does wear you out, get you exhausted, make you feel, it just really does impact your quality of life. So, Amanda, go ahead, please. I didn't want to steal your thought there.
I'm just typing it in, then I'm going to read it out. I'm going to try and read it out.
So how about if I go ahead and jump on to what are the goals for this page while you're typing that out?
Okay, I've typed it out. It's
myalgic encephalomyelitis.
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce that.
Well, myalgic, I believe, is having to do with pain within the myofascial tissue, and encephalomyelitis has to do with inflammation, not only neurologically, and any healers out there, please correct us. All I know is that whenever you see algic, it means pain, itis means inflammation, and all of that other stuff doesn't really matter. It's pain and inflammation. That's what it is, and it's chronic. And there are ways to deal with that, but here are the goals for this Facebook page. Both Amanda and I ended up on the internet. We don't want to be living on government assistance, okay? Disability. When I was no longer able to work, I chose that route, but it was not going to be a permanent route for me. It was to go ahead and learn how to be productive and continue a lifestyle that I personally enjoyed. Me and my family, we had a great lifestyle up until this happened, and it is my dream to recapture that lifestyle, but do it in such a way to where I'm not, beating my body up and putting all the physical and mental demands on my body like we used to. And that's how we got onto the internet. This fabulous platform that does not care when you work, that does not care if you feel good or not, that does not care how you look that day. It's not judging, even though there are people that come on and can judge, but the overall platform that allows us to be, just to allow us to be who we are, is non-judgmental. And it is so cool that we can come out and share this information with other people and show other entrepreneurs who are struggling with this condition how to persevere and maybe learn some of the lessons that we've learned as entrepreneurs in this space for the last several years. And a little fun-hearted, type of stuff, maybe a little serious stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about marketing, a little bit about fibromyalgia, maybe, what are we doing to help ourselves with the condition? Maybe it might be diet. It might be exercise regimen. It may also be, maybe too much exercise. You don't want to do that type of stuff. So all of these things, and like we say, and this is why it's called FibroPreneurs, Thoughts from the Throne, because it is thoughts that we come up when we're in quiet places thinking about stuff.
Okay, so just piggybacking off what you just said there, swimming is very good for you.
Yes,
I was swimming today and I was swimming yesterday. However, I was ill for a week. I had a flu, or was it fibro flu? Was it real flu? I have no idea, but I was ill for a week, so I wasn't able to do any exercise. And I'm very, very harsh on myself. And I don't know whether I purposely wanted to punish my body, but however I did. I did the Shaun T T25 workout. And I find it difficult to stand up, sit down without my muscles being agonizing, and I'm very tired because of it. But Christy, you explained a bit about what you've been learning about that. and you know, I was trying to lose weight and everything, and the how to lose weight and the exercise and eating.
Yeah, you know, and by the way, anybody who has dealt with over-exercise, maybe dealing with fatigue, maybe you go and do an exercise routine and you're exercising with a friend and they're fine the next day and you're not, you feel like you got hit by a truck. Can you put that in the chat, please, and let us know how many of you have experienced that?
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah. And the other thing that happens when you have chronic fatigue, there is a body shape that starts to occur over years. See, I'm about 20 years older than Amanda, I would say, and it's very defined because my body shape is that of somebody who suffers with adrenal fatigue. So my body shape is more of, I have some weight around my hips, and I have some weight that was starting to build around my midsection. And also I was having unwanted weight gain from the medications that I was on with my doctor. And I came across a chiropractor who has dedicated his entire practice of the last 30 years to exercise physiology and nutrition. His name is Dr. Eric Berg. And I didn't come across him myself. It was somebody else who was recently diagnosed with diabetes, and they said, hey, I can't have watermelon anymore in the morning. What kind of fruit can I have? And what the response was, it wasn't the kind of fruit, is that they should go see Dr. Eric Berg's website. So I go, oh my gosh, and there was like 300 responses saying about the same thing. So I went and I checked out Eric Berg, started watching all of his videos. I started getting on his Facebook Lives, and I went on and started his morning kale shake routine. Well, I was able to get off amitriptyline. I was able to stop taking Motrin. I was able to stop taking omeprazole, which is, they were giving me 40 milligram dose of omeprazole so I wouldn't get an ulcer from the Motrin. And what it allowed me to do is that I started dropping weight. And what I learned from Eric Berg is about adrenal fatigue, and I have the body shape consistent with adrenal fatigue. And if you go onto his website, you can find out exactly what body type you are. There are body types that that may be more, if you're diabetic type of person or body shape. You're probably more adrenal and estrogen dominance, which a lot of women have both of those. I'm a bit of a combination of both. But because
I didn't mean to scare you all there.
Age, I'm a little bit less estrogen dominant than I was, but I still have to be careful about like polyester clothes and things like that. I try to stay away from them. You know, I live in an area where there's a lot of farms and ranches, so there's a lot of pesticide in the air. So I try to work on detoxing myself a lot. So anyway, coming back to the body type, what I've learned about fatigue and why we cannot lose weight and why Amanda was having this difficulty, I asked her, I go, why are you working out so hard? And I go, is it to try to lose weight? And she goes, well, yeah, I want to exercise, but I also want to lose weight. And so I shared with her that 85% of weight loss is diet, not exercise. And most of us have that backward. Most of us, and I was one of those people. Up until my 2007 incident, I ran, I jogged every day. I lifted weights. I was in really good physical shape, but I was also feeling the fatigue coming on. And then when that guy, you know, I was dealing with his daily bashing, it just wore me out. But here's what Dr. Berg had said, and it has worked very well for me. When your body, first of all, you cannot exercise and do a Shanti workout when you have fibromyalgia or you have a fatigued body type. We have to rest. And one of the misnomers that we're constantly told by our doctors is to eat 5 or 6 small meals a day so we can keep our energy up, eat lots of protein and stuff like that. I can tell you from my own experience, and we're not doctors here, you guys, we're only talking about our own experience. So whatever we're about to share here, you take to your doctor and verify, okay? You have to make your own decision, just like we have. But what I have learned, and I believe this wholeheartedly, is that when you have a fatigued body, you got to stop fatiguing it. And one of the things that is very highly fatiguing is digestion. So digestion and exercise, when we do too much eating and too much exercise, we're going to continue to get bigger. We will not lose weight. It will just sit there. We will get more frustrated. We'll beat ourselves up mentally and more physically because we'll want to exercise more. That little pooch that we get at the stomach is the stomach fat caused by adrenal fatigue. So what's the cure? The cure is to walk rather than run or pound ourselves on the ground. The answer is to swim. Get yourself de-weighted and quit pounding your body on the ground. The other answer is to eat in a shorter time frame during the day. It's called intermittent fasting. In fact, what I chose to do was to go on a ketogenic diet. What it has done for me is help. You'll never get rid of fibromyalgia. We need to understand that. It lives within your body very much like cancer cells. It will never go away, but it's what we do that activates it, just like cancer. You know, cancer gets activated by something and then those cells reproduce and they go crazy in your body. So what we need to do is stop doing the activities that activate these painful symptoms. So what I chose to do was incorporated kale shake, and I eat within an 8-hour time frame. And I've been doing that since March the 6th. And I have exercised very little. I might walk around the neighborhood, and I've lost over 25 pounds just by changing my diet. I have lost 50 points on my cholesterol. Oh, and another thing with fibromyalgia people, probably have a sluggish thyroid. Most of us are hypothyroid. I am too. And
I had mine checked.
And my thyroid actually started to improve, my thyroid function. So there is something to stop beating the hell out of ourselves with our food and our exercise. It's very, very important. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share about that.
So I just want to ask a funny wee question. Sorry, guys, but for the women, if you have a chronic condition like fibromyalgia, how are your periods?
Oh,
how are your periods? Because this is something that we have been discussing a lot about, Christy, haven't we? I am just away to have an appointment, which I've been waiting for, to go to the gynecology to see about what's it called, ablation, which is they laser a lining in the womb, and it either lightens your periods, or I'm quite excited about hearing some stories which just says it completely stops. And if it does that, you know, I'm going to be in my element, you know. But has anybody else had this? Have they had the ablation done? You've had the ablation done.
No, I didn't have the ablation, but I had very heavy periods since I was a little kid.
And I've had since I began.
Me too. And I had learned from Dr. Berg that it is from estrogen dominance. And my body shape is an estrogen dominance. He talks about polycystic fibrosis, which is a very common condition from excessive estrogen dominance. And that is also it's tied to the this whole complex of fibromyalgia, the mental, the physical balance, imbalance, if you will. And so I just encourage, you know, like what you're doing, go to your doctor. But I would also look him up, Dr. Eric Berg, ERICBERG. He's a doctor of chiropractic, and he's in Virginia in the United States. And he talks about that quite a bit and how you might actually, correct that. Interestingly enough, I have gone into menopause. I've been there for a couple of years, and now since I have started this diet, I had a little remnant of one monthly cycle, and I was kind of surprised, but I was also happy because that told me that my body is balancing out.
Is that the right spelling?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes. There's another doctor, Jason Fung, F-U-N-G, who I've heard a lot about. I haven't followed his stuff, but he is on the same line, same message of Dr. Berg. Dr. Berg is very nice to look at, too, for us ladies. Very easy on the eyes. So is Jason Fung. So just a little bit I've seen, but like I said, I haven't followed him. But I hope that helps. I have learned so much from that man, and I hope that one day I can meet him because I'd love to give him a hug because I've learned so much more from him on Facebook or on YouTube than I have learned from my doctors in the last 20 years. And all my doctors were able to do was give pills, potions, barbaric tests, needles in the neck, all sorts of things that is just, it's crazy stuff when you can feel stuff naturally.
I'm completely medication free. The only time that I ever, and I have to be actually crippled on the floor before I will. I might take tramadol, but I'm crippled on the floor, and it will be when I have my periods. I will be on the deck and crying before I'll touch a tablet, because last year, but I mean, my weight's gained since last year, but the thing is, I did a lot at once. I ended all my pills. I would suggest you'd done it as drastically as the way I did, but I'm really stubborn, so I managed it.
No.
I got completely medication free, and then just after that I stopped smoking as well. So those two combined could have been a big factor in my weight going back on.
Oh, you're healing. Sometimes when you're healing, you're going to gain weight before you can lose weight because you're building new tissue and stuff like that. You know, we were talking about this article that we saw that it says why you don't have fibromyalgia, but instead just a bad diet. I mean, it was like mind blown. What? You know, I don't know. You know my opinion about that, Amanda, but you know,
my brain almost exploded with
that's not true. You know, when you get a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, the doctor is taking into consideration a bad diet. There are so many other factors that come into play. You know, if you have to have this condition for a while, several months, and you have to have those trigger points, you know, all throughout your body, at least 11, I think. And they're at specific points of your body, and they have to be on both sides, so one on the right, one on the left. And if it's going to go away because of diet, I would probably say one of two things are happening. One, either the person didn't have fibromyalgia to start with, maybe they just did have a crappy diet, and once they fixed their diet, maybe they were on sugar overload, because when you eat too much sugar, you will have inflammatory responses. Mm-hmm. Or they have some sort of mild form of fibromyalgia, and they've realized that by improving their diet, they put it into remission, which is, I think, is what I'm kind of experiencing, is that it hasn't put it completely in remission, but it has put it in a much less painful state than it used to be. So, but I think it's pish posh. It's not one or the other. It's either, you know, you have it and you've got it under control, or you don't have it at all. What do you think about that, Amanda?
It's people like that cause so much stigma and cause so much bad press for those that are actually trying to help themselves. You know, you have the people that see a video like that or an article written like that. They then not everybody really goes and looks into things properly, so they might watch that and then automatically say, I know somebody with fibromyalgia, and then go to that person and cause them more trauma by turning around and saying to them, yeah, you don't have, you know, you've just got a bad diet. And to go and say that to somebody with an invisible illness, you might as well just start stabbing them around the body with a skewer, you know, really, because that's just going to cause more stress, more pain.
Yeah, and then there's these things going around, like essential Baltic amber, and that's one of the latest things. This thing that you wear, and I just find that
I had amber years ago because I was searching for all different things, potions and lotions, oils and stuff. Amber, I had lots of amber actually at one point. I had it around my neck and everything, but it never did anything for me. But I mean, it might soothe some people, but for people with chronic pain, it might not have the same effect. It might cause a placebo effect, you know, but even a placebo effect's good if that works, then woohoo, you know.
Well, it can also be toxic, you know, around little kids. Those parents who want to keep, you know, as natural as possible. What I was reading, many cases where children have ended up getting sick because they have this amber necklace on. And they end up, because of I think it's acetic acid is what it's made out of. And it's actually...
oh, I never heard of that.
Yeah, it's actually just the same as someone who's saying a child with... I can't read the whole message. What's that say, Amanda? From
just
Steve?
Someone,
Steve.
Just the same as someone. Hi, Stephen. That's my brother-in-law.
Oh, hi,
just the same as someone saying who's saying a child doesn't have autism and he just has bad behavior. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's backtracking. I think there's a bit of a lag on the comments from what we're speaking about. But yeah.
Yep. Well, this amber necklace has. I was reading too that it's actually. The acetic acid is actually used to make other types of chemicals. So it's kind of like a base. So I might be wrong on that, but I would just look it up and be very careful about what you put on your body, put around your face and everything like that, because whatever you find on the internet, we don't know if it's here in
acetic acid
approved or whatever.
You mentioned acetic acid there. That actually makes a lot of sense why not to use amber on somebody with fibromyalgia, because one of the things, so I'm going to ask the viewers just now, if you were to, and there'll probably be a lag, so your comments might not connect with the same time as me speaking. If you were to choose an apple or an orange, for somebody with fibromyalgia, they can't choose the orange. Right. Because the orange is full of the acidic acid and stuff. It's got the acidic in it. So what that then does is it goes through the body, it crystallizes in the body, and then that causes more pain in the body. And I love oranges, so sometimes I may be hurting myself more. But I crave orange sometimes. I'm like, I need it. But yeah, so that makes sense, really does, with amber.
And then yet on the other hand, some of us take apple cider vinegar, which is an acid, and that helps with inflammation. So I think we all have to kind of understand what our own body chemistry is and what works for us, and realize that when we take medications too, that those are chemicals and they are affecting with our own body chemistry as well. And so we may not get the desired results that may be indicated on the pamphlet that comes with said medication, you know. So anyway, I think we can talk about that one all day long. You know, how about a little bit of a marketing topic? How about that for our fibropreneurs here? We've talked so much about fibromyalgia. Why don't we we had one thing we were going to talk about is that from one of my viewers shared this, and I wanted to share it with our fibropreneurs because I know that this is a universal problem. And the question is, are you speaking to the masses or to a target market who wants to hear your message? How many people are struggling with that? You know, as I'm sure we have heard the shotgun approach, you know, load the shotgun, shoot it, and it spreads, or throw the spaghetti up on the wall and see what sticks. Or do we take a deliberate approach and be laser focused and send our message directly to who we want to talk about?
So that's figuring out your target market, your niche market.
Yes.
Exactly the people what you have to offer, and the people that want your offer.
You know, Carrie Bannigan, she's a fabulous internet marketer from Las Vegas, Nevada. And she shared this analogy, and I think it so appropriately explains this. Let's say we have a product, a health and wellness product that has testosterone in it, okay? And instead of, now somebody may be approached and say, okay, why don't you market your product in one of these little mailers and it will go to 10,000 people. But you don't know how many people, that 10,000 people, and more than likely a lot of women are going to open up those mailers and they're going to see this thing and they're going to say, testosterone, boom, right into the garbage can, right?
I don't want to do that.
Exactly. What did we just do with our marketing money? However, with the internet, and especially if we market on Facebook or Google, for instance, they have got the way that we live, the things that we respond to, our interests. They have them in such a big database. They know more about us than we do, that they can help us build a very highly targeted market. So let's take our testosterone example. In our same marketing budget, we can go ahead, rather than maybe hitting 10,000 potential eyeballs, we can hit 1 million eyeballs with the same investment, basically, and hit them very targeted for only the men who are within a certain age group who might be interested in testosterone.
Maybe we could,
what we're talking about.
I'm just thinking, Stephen, my brother-in-law there, we could maybe offer him advice while he's on, because what he's doing just now is he's studying at college to do movie production, to be a movie producer. So he's doing all that kind of stuff, and he's just he's got his page set up, his fan page set up and stuff. So I mean, I see that he's engaging and stuff. So if you have anything that you could offer to him that might help him.
Few thoughts that came to mind. It's actually Carrie X.
It's okay, Carrie, you can tell him to get on here later and watch.
Okay. Thank you for that, Stephen. I would say a few things that come to mind is, first of all, is our target market mostly, is it mostly male or female? What is the age group of our target market? Since this is film production, right, Amanda? Is that what you're talking about? Of course, we want to make sure that our target market has, oh, great, he's listening. Hi, Kevin, thank you. We want to make sure that that person has interest in the film industry or film production per se. Age group, like I say, is very important. The genre, the type of maybe film that is being produced, you know, action, science fiction. That's, hi, Louise.
Oh, Louise, you're going to have to watch the replay to watch the fibromyalgia part.
let's see, what else can I think of? Um,
You can actually go into your fan page as well, and you can you can you can actually tailor in the settings in your fan page who you're targeting and who can see your page only. So you're shutting out some countries. If you don't want some countries, or if you don't want certain age groups, you can tailor it, and
That's
you can niche your own page. You know, you can do all of that in the settings. You have to go onto your page, and if you go up in the top right hand corner, you go into the proper settings. But yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, I think it's once you go into settings, I think it's called interest or something like that.
Okay. I've got my laptop open, so
And
interest.
also, Kevin, I think it's the gentleman who's building this page.
It's Steve.
Stephen and Kevin. You know, I would also recommend maybe building your page with a likes campaign of some sort, which is very inexpensive, and that will allow you to kind of tweak who you're going to go ahead and attract to your page who likes this. You can do this maybe with a quote, for instance, with a really cool background that's really related to your industry. Maybe it's from a famous actor, for instance, who said this quote that people within your industry would understand. And you can go ahead and set this up and boost it within Facebook. And they will allow you to target around a particular group that we were talking about for like $5.
Do I have in the back office the training for that to be able to share? Is that being put into a campaign to share?
Yes, it is. Yes, we do have that. I think it's like 7,000 some sort of likes that you can get from a campaign.
I'll share that with him.
Yeah. And I got to say, I've done that many, many times. It is very effective, highly engaging. And what it does is that it helps you learn about your target market. It's a very inexpensive way to figure all of that out. So I highly recommend it. You could do it the organic way, but it's going to take much longer. And organic is free, of course. You're welcome, Steve. I hope that helps you out. In organic, we all like to do things with no cost, but sometimes there's a time factor. So if we can, pull a few bucks together and do that, that would be great. We'll help you out a lot. So I don't know. I think we're running off the.
We've just got to the end of this. I just realised we could have had our names up there. I just noticed that now.
We're using a new platform, so we're getting used to this ourselves. But folks, I hope that you've really enjoyed our show. We're hoping that we could just reach out to others who, maybe struggle a little bit like we have building up our business and share with you the things that we've learned. And like we said, sometimes, we're not feeling too good and we can hide behind this camera and do quite a few things and nobody knows that we're not feeling very good that day. And being able to come out and share with a group of people that understand what we're going through allows us to kind of be normal and say, you know what, we feel like crap today, but we're here, we showed up, and we're sharing. So anyway.
So please forgive if one day we turn up in our PJs, on a Friday and it's come to this time again and we've turned up in our jammies, you'll then know that we're really feeling like crap that day. I
promise we will not be giving you a live shot of us sitting on the throne, okay?
I think that header image is enough for eyes. Okay?
I think so too. So if you all can do us a favor, we would love to find out how well we did today. And also, if you would like to come up with a topic that we can share with you next week, we would love to research it and come back and share it with you. We'll have another marketing tip and something that will definitely help you with your business next week as well.
Louise actually is a fibro fighter. She's not in online business, I don't think. but she's on the Mindset Miracle Breakthrough. No, sorry, the Fibromyalgia Breakthrough page. If you have any things that you would like us to share, Louise, just type them away, send me a private message if you want to send me a private message, and just ask away.
Also, if there's any healers that would like to come on to our show, please get in touch with either me or Amanda. I'm speaking with a couple people here in California who are chiropractors, naturopathic doctors, who I'm trying to coordinate.
I have a doctor and I have a life coach so far.
A life coach as well, who can come on and share their thoughts with you. And, this whole thing is to try to help. And that's what we're here for, is to serve our fibro friends. So anyway, that's all I've got for today, Amanda.
Yeah, I think that's me for today too. I think we've talked their heads off.
Well, I guess that we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks all for tuning in on the live, and all who watch on the replay. We really appreciate you stopping by.
See you next time, you guys.
Bye.